How's it going, everybody? Doing a request here today. Top 10. My top 10 video games. I think I've done top 5 before, but I like the idea of the top 10 because I could add more games in there. I made the list. I have some of the games. I'm missing 4. Funny enough, 2 I got recently. But yeah, I'll get started. Number 10 is Final Fantasy X-2. I've talked about this game a ton. A lot of people can't stand this game. I really do enjoy it. It's just a 3. It's a sequel to 10. You just use these 3 people, Riku, Yuna, and Pain. Pain is new to 10 too. Obviously, Yuna and Riku were in 10. It's got the dress garment system, so you can have them do different things. You know, they could, once you throw on a different outfit, they then have different abilities and stuff. It's very, I don't say tongue-in-cheek, it's real, but it's such a change of pace from 10, which is more of the serious, you know, sins come and destroying everything. Everything's very somber or whatever. This one's like upbeat. I mean, the beginning's just a giant, like, pop concert. Yuna's like a pop star, gun-wielding pop star, you know. It's much more lighthearted, I should say. I mean, 10 was too, but this pretty much is. I just really like this game for whatever reason. And you do, in this one, you do missions. You're on the ship. What do they call you? The Gullwings? I forget what they call you in this. You're on the ship and you can go to different spots to hunt for spheres. You're sphere hunters. And she's trying to find the one with a Titus or whatever. The job system is what they call it, not the garment system. But it's really, I don't know, I really do enjoy this game quite a bit. I really couldn't tell you why. I mean, it's a good game. I think it's a good game. I mean, if you're going by Final Fantasy standards, maybe you wouldn't consider it great, but I don't know, I just really enjoy it. I mean, I like 10 a lot too. So. Number 9, I don't have. This is a new one to the list. Funny, I had FF10 too, I think, in my top 5, but it's not a top 5. That's why it's good to kind of do a 10. Maybe at some point I'll even do a 20, but because people's lists will constantly change. But number 9 is Star Fox 64. Star Fox 64, like, I like the original Star Fox, but I like Star Fox 64 better. So addicting. I used to play it all the time just to try to beat my score. That and F-Zero I would play before going to Nassau Community College in the morning. I'd like wake up a little earlier before I leave. It looked great for its time. They came bundled in with a Rumble Pack too. It's just an addicting shooter. You know, it's just addicting. And it has super replayability. It's not really long. You can take the branching paths and stuff. It's not a very long game. You could beat it in probably less than 2 hours, really. But like I said, it has replayability because you can try to beat your top score and stuff. It's just really cool. Like I said, it looked good. The music's really good in it. Just a really enjoyable game. Just an addicting game. And there's nostalgia there, but it's just really addicting. I really base a lot of my stuff on nostalgia in terms of my favorites now, but it has to have the gameplay to go along with it. Like, I have to go back and play it and still enjoy it. Number 8 is actually the most recent game, and it's not recent. It's like 14 years old. But it's the original Dead Rising. Now, in my opinion, Dead Rising 3 is the absolute best of the Dead Rising games, in my opinion. It does everything right. It improves upon everything enough. But I remember when this game came out, my friend, I think I mentioned this in actually a pretty recent video. My friend and his family went to Hawaii, and I was watching his house, his dog and his cat, and they gave me some money. And this just came out, so I picked this up with some of the money. It's 06. August of 06, I believe it came out. That's not going to say August on here, but I just loved it from the beginning. Now it has the save system's annoying in that if you screw something up, the game won't end, but you can't beat it. You just kind of go on. I think you gotta go on until the time runs out, but you can't actually beat the game. But the cool thing is your levels stayed. So if you were level 10 or something, and then you started from the beginning, you were level 10. So that was a little bit of a bonus. Although the save system was annoying, it wasn't terrible because you're on a time limit in this. You're Frank West when he first appears, classic character. There's no weapon combinations in this one, but back in 06, you get a sword or something or an axe. It just felt so good. Tons of zombies on screen. There was no slow up or anything. There was the psychopaths you had to fight, which were just humans that lost it. The mall setting was great, and even says on here this game was not developed, approved, or licensed by the owners or creators of George A. Romero's Dawn of the Dead, because it's pretty much just takes the mall setting of Dawn of the Dead. The story's alright. It's your standard story, but it's really cool. It's just awesome. I love the environment of the mall. It was so great. It was just a fun game. Another game that has replayability. Just awesome. Like I want to get this. I want to get the remaster of it. I don't know if the remaster of it fixed some of the stuff from this one, but it's always on sale on Xbox, the Xbox store. Love this game though. 7 is one I picked up last month. Actraiser. I always loved this as a kid, and I wanted to pick it up again. I got it for the Super Famicom because it's like $20. It was like $20 cheaper. I got a good cheap version of this regardless, because it's even on the Super Famicom it sells for normally like $20-$25, and I got it for like $11.94 with tax. But the Super Nintendo version sells for like $35, $30-$35. So it's playable, even with the Japanese text. It's just an awesome game because it blends the strategy kind of SimCity. It's very SimCity light. When you gotta build stuff as the angel, you gotta build up the town, take care of monsters, close monster things, do some other little type deals to advance the story. And then you do the side-scrolling missions, which are fun. They're solid side-scrolling missions, but that part was cool. Just the world building was cool. Just a game with, once again, a lot of nostalgia, and going back and playing it for the first time in a while when I got it, it was still there, and it was still a good game, and I wanted to play it, which is cool. Just an awesome overall game. That's the point. Is you're a god, and you have to stop the evil and then like re-inhabit the world or whatever. So it's different areas. You can go to other ones and fight the guys, but you'll be overpowered in some instances because you got to level up. But it's really cool. And you build the houses, and you got to stop the little demons from like grabbing your people or destroying crops or houses and stuff. It's just a really, really sick game. Anybody who like wants to go back and play this or wasn't just old enough or even alive yet, and you want to play old games, definitely get this game if you can on either one of the things. I mean, I'm playing this on the Retron, so if you have a Retron 3 or whatever, it does play this. But it's just really cool. I don't know. They made a second one, but it was just side-scrolling, which is kind of disappointing. 6. This is a game I haven't beaten. I talk about it enough, though. I do have to do gameplay for it soon. Gladiators. I played enough of it back then, and even after. Back when it came out, it was at 03 or 04. 03. It's an awesome game. It's a strategy game on a grid. It takes place during the Roman times or whatever. They have their own gods, the affinity gods and stuff, so it's not like Zeus and stuff like that. You can use either Ursula or Valens. Thankfully, their names are on the back here. Ursula is like the barbarian, her and her brother. And then Valens is with the one guy, I forget his name. And your the Romans or the Gladiators, whatever you want to. The overworld's really cool. You run around it. Now you get money, and you can recruit people to be on your team, your squad, or whatever. Now, when you fight in the arenas, you just get knocked out. But in the real world, if you get into a fight, the overworld, the guys will die. Obviously, the main characters, if they die, it's game over. And the combat still is great. It's just like I said, it's turn-based. You have different kind of you can do magical attacks. You can do just basic sword attacks and stuff like that. There's different kind. Like there's the people who throw. They're not archers, but people who use spears as weapons. So they're the ranged people. There's bigger centurion guys. They're slower. They don't move as much, but they do more damage. Like Valence and Ursula are like the middle type. People, kind of well-rounded. And there's there's like the people have more. They have less, kind of like the rogue type. They move more, but they're better backstabbing and stuff like that. It's just a real cool game with good strategy and stuff. You'll fight different kinds of enemies and stuff. There's animals you'll fight, other kind of gladiators and whatever. And monsters will come into the mix as well. It's actually made by LucasArts. Yeah, you can train them as well. And there's a lot of areas to go and different. You gotta to get like a bit more further on areas. You gotta get to do all the certain stuff and get a certain amount of I can't what they call them, like the tokens or whatever, from doing certain things at the gladiator schools and stuff. It's just a really cool game. And you don't hear that talked about too much, that game. I don't know how it sold or anything, but it was really good. And 5 is when I put a gameplay the other day. You in Squadron, Area 88, over in Japan. It was actually an anime over there too. Area 88 was the anime, but I love this game, and this is another game I always loved playing, for years, up until, back when it came out. My friend had it. I would borrow it from him all the time. You can see like 2000, I think it was like 2002, I got another Super Nintendo, picked this game up again. Then I got rid of that, and then I borrowed it from my friend later on. He still had it. Over the years, I played this all the time, and it's so addicting. I love this game, and just getting it again, I was like, yes, I love this game. Like this Actraiser, there's games that want to make me buy more Super Nintendo or Super Famicom games because I'm just like reliving the nostalgia, but enjoying the hell out of the games too, and that's such a big part of it. It's cool though. You can pick between 3 different pilots, and as you saw on the gameplay, the people are coming to your base. You can do little bombing runs to generate more money to get better planes and better weapons to bring into each level. They're all plane missions, but there's other ones where you're fighting the enemy air force, or you're in the desert fighting like tanks and stuff, out in the ocean fighting boats. It's pretty varied in that regard. Looks good. The soundtrack for this game is one of the best. I love the soundtrack for this game so much. It's just so addicting, and it's it's tough. As you can see when I was playing it, there's some people that are really good at that stuff. I mean, I'm okay at them, but it's still fun and satisfying to just play it, and it still holds up, and it still looks pretty damn good. I'm just glad to have gotten these 2 games at pretty solid prices, especially a solid price for Actraiser. Anyway, that's that one. So I only have one of my top 4. I need to pick the other ones up. They're not actually. I actually have one of the other ones, but it's at my friend's house. I need to actually just get that again. The other 2 aren't too expensive, but number 4 is NHL 94, the Genesis version. Genesis always had the better sport games, in my opinion, than Super Nintendo. Not all of them, but like those NHL games and Maddens and stuff. And like the Lakers vs. Celtics type. Always seemingly just were better on the Genesis. Although they only had Bulls vs. Blazers and NBA Showdown on the Super Nintendo. They didn't have the first 2. NHL 94, my friends and I used to always play it. We played it when it came out. Enjoyed it. And introduced the one-timer, which was awesome. It had both the licenses too, because the first NHL hockey, I believe, just had teams, not the players. They had the numbers of the players, but and then 92 or 93 was just the Players Association, but not the teams. 94 had both. Just really addicting. Like I said, such a good game to play. multiplayer with friends. We used to set up tournaments. We had a little Stanley Cup, and we'd have like, you know, 4 or 8 of us, depending on how many people you could get. At the time, we'd do little tournaments and stuff and play for the cup. It was just really fun. Just a really addicting hockey game. It's still my favorite hockey game. One of my favorite sport games as well. If not, it probably is my favorite sport game. That and like Tecmo Super Bowl. It's just really good, you know. It's just fun. It's cool, you know. Even up until like a couple of years ago, my friends and I would just play through a playoffs. You know, it's just so addicting and fun. Really awesome game. Number 3 is, I got it here for the original PlayStation, Final Fantasy VI, but it was Final Fantasy 3 here when I originally played it. For Super Nintendo, I have it on its Final Fantasy Anthology. Love Final Fantasy VI. I like 4 as well as awesome, which was 2 here. We didn't get 5, we didn't get 2, we didn't get 3. We got the original, and then 2 and 3 were 4 and 6. So we got 3 out of the first 6. This one also has 5 on it. It's such an awesome game. Like, it's my favorite Final Fantasy. 2 was awesome too. 2 had the crazy stuff where you like go to the moon and giant whale and stuff, but 3 had the airship, which was cool. And it had the middle part. Kefka is such an awesome badass. Probably one of the best villains in Final Fantasy, if not the best, because he's just straight up nuts. And there's a point where he destroys the world. Like, he uses this machine. There's like a cutscene where it's just destroying everything. Beams coming down, and then you have to play like the second half of the game, or even like maybe the last third, second half, something like that. A good amount of time. You have to like now do that. The world's been destroyed. It's just such a good story. All the characters are pretty unique, you know, especially for the 16-bit era. There's some little twists in there and stuff, and it's just a really awesome game. The Ghost Train is another cool, or Phantom Train, whatever they called it, was a cool part. Awesome overworld, like all Final Fantasies. So many memories from that. It's so good. It's just so good. Like I said, Kefka's just so badass. He's the best, man. He really is. And it's almost like a steampunkish type game. It's a blend of like this, you know, machines and magic and, you know, stuff like that. And obviously I can't remember what they're called for some reason. The Aeon type things. Do they call them that in this? I forget what they called in this, but you know, you have all the magic attacks. It's the classic turn-based. Great music as always. Just a phenomenal game. There's a lot of characters you can use. I think there's at least 12 you get throughout the course of the game. You can obviously use 4 at once. I'm pretty sure 3 is the one with the Opera House. 6 is the one with the Opera House too. You fight the squid up in the rafters. So it's been a while since I played any, put any actual time into that, but it's so good. It's my favorite Final Fantasy. I love it. 2 is awesome as well. I think for a lot of people, Final Fantasy, I mean, I like a lot of the Final Fantasies. Like, I thought 15 was awesome, and 10 too, obviously. But just something about the time you like grow up in, the Final Fantasies you play. Like, a lot of people love 7, 8, and 9. If that's when you played them. I only played a little bit of 7. I didn't have a PlayStation back then, so. But people, I think it's the time you're very, like, those are the ones you, like, really hold dear. Like, no, these are the best ones, you know. That's that one. Number 2, and the next 2 I don't have. Number 2 is the one that's at my friend's house. It's Indiana Jones and the Infernal Machine for the N64. Awesome game. Me and my friend played this originally when it came out. I think it came out in 01 or 2000. Only in Blockbuster. There was a lot of glitches in this game, but it was only released in Blockbuster. Like, at least I'm pretty sure you couldn't buy it in stores. I bought my copy in Blockbuster used. But maybe we didn't rent it. Maybe I bought it. And we played it like crazy, man. Like, I remember playing it for like 8 hours one day. We had to like just take a walk out of the house because we were like, you get in that game zone. You know, you've been there and you play a lot of games. Or a game for a long time. At the time, graphically, it was great. Like I said, there's glitches that were really, like, I don't know if maybe that's why it didn't get a huge release, because the glitches in this game were terrible. There's a part where you're on the river and your raft can get stuck on a rock and it just goes through your additional, you know, tubes that you can use to refill if you get popped. annoying. Just a lot of glitches where you get stuck or you fall into the environment. But still, even with that, this game was so cool. It was just fun figuring out what to do and stuff. Cool environments. At the time, it looked great. The guy they got to voice Indy is real close to what Harrison Ford sounds like. There's a cool little story for it, too. It was pretty long. It was just really cool trying to figure out. We were figuring this stuff out without like any kind of cheats or anything, like looking it up. It was just really good. Awesome. Like, I would recommend that to anybody who hasn't played it for the N64. Get it. I need to play through that game again at some point, because it's just, that's another game that the nostalgia just pulls you in. And it was just really cool. Like I said, at the time, the levels were just so great. Now, of course, a lot of N64 games don't hold up because they just, all that fog and stuff they have to put in it because of limitations doesn't look great. But I just loved that game so much, man. It was just so, it was awesome. It was like, just, I love indie games in general. I just love exploring and stuff and figuring out stuff and getting to find things. Just the environments are great. Absolutely awesome game. And number one's another one I don't have, which I need to get. I've owned it like 3 or 4 different times, but it remains number one on my list, and it is Silent Hill 2. Either one. I'm pretty sure the Greatest Hits PS2 version had wrestle streams on it. The Xbox, just the one they put out on Xbox, had wrestle streams on it, which was the side story of it's frustrating myself that I can't remember. It was Maria. I forget his wife's name. Maria was the other one, or Maria was his wife, but the one that is born from his wish of his wife, his dead wife. Silent Hill 2 is extreme, in my opinion. Everybody's opinions change when it comes to survival horror games, like stuff like Resident Evil and Dead Space will scare a bunch of people. To me, I don't find them scary. I love them, but I love the atmosphere, but it's not creepy enough. Like Fatal Frame and Silent Hill are the ones that really do it for me. Silent Hill 2 is awesome. It's so, the atmosphere and the environments, it's so creepy. It's just so oppressively like creepy. And it's just, you feel the dread, even though you encounter enemies, but so much of it is just like, what's over there? What's that creepy sound? What's happening in the background? Just Pyramid Head's in this one. Awesome character. The great part of the story. This is like the best video game story. Spoilers here. Use James Sunderland. You get a note from your wife saying to come to Silent Hill. The thing is, your wife's been dead for like a year or whatever. So you go there and it's just a fog and everything's not the same. You run to other characters who are in Silent Hill for their own reasons, for the sins or whatever they've committed. So they're seeing different monsters than you. Like, you run into Eddie, the guy, one of the characters, Eddie. And James is like, oh, did you see a pyramid thing with a pyramid head? He's like, I don't know. I've seen some crazy stuff, but I haven't seen that. So they're all seeing their own thing. There's Angel as well. Their stories are all really good as well on their own. But everything is manifesting from his own mind, like the sexy nurses or the nurses, because his wife was sick. And spoiler alerts here, he killed his wife because she was suffering and whatever, and he didn't want to deal with it anymore. So the nurses are like the sexy nurses he was seeing or just imagining. Like, of course, they're not like that in the game. They're all like, just, distorting what the Pyramid Head appears because he's like the executioner. He killed his wife, and later on, more spoilers. When you kill another character, I'll just say another. I won't say who it is. You kill another character, a second Pyramid Head appears. So he's like the executioner. From what you've done. With the killing, all of the, the things are just things that come out of his head. And there's a little kid there who, Laura, I think her name is. Is it? Little girl is not seeing anything because she's still pure. And there's different, endings. They have the UFO ending, which is just a stupid one. You gotta do all types of crazy stuff. But it's like a dog controlling the world. It's just so creepy, and the story is just second to none. It's incredible. The graphics for the time were really good, but it was super. The part in the underground prison is just, you can't see anything. You have your flashlight, the music's freaking like all these noises, stuff's moving in the prison cell. It's just so many parts of that game are just overall creepy. And I gotta take this. I've been chewing too long. But Silent Hill 2 just still is my number one. I love it. I need to get that game again. You can get it for fairly cheap on either one of the systems. It might be more expensive on the PS2. just love it. I mean, I love the Silent Hill series in general, especially the first 4. I did enjoy the Origins on the PSP. I think they ported it over to PS2. The only one I really didn't like was Homecoming. I played like 10 hours of it or 8 hours of it, or actually probably less than that. I was getting into it, then it would piss me off. Like, it was just annoying. Like, they emphasize too much combat, and that's not that game's strong suit, those games. But anyway, those are my top 10. I mean, definitely try out any of those games if you have those systems. You probably enjoy most of them. But yeah, thanks everybody for checking this out, and have a good day.